everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, then welcome. I'm doing something a little bit different today. I know this is a reselling channel. I usually do haul videos, but I thought I would show you how I make sourdough no knead bread. I did another video not too long ago where I made just regular no knead bread. The video wasn't so great, but anyways, hopefully this one is better. But I'm going to start from the beginning on this one. And again, it's a no knead sourdough bread. So I got this recipe from Baker Betty. She's here on YouTube. I will put a link to her channel where she makes this bread. And this is the easiest recipe I have found for no knead sourdough bread. Some of them seem so complicated. It does not need to be complicated. It's not complicated. But what you will need is you will need sourdough starter. And we're going to make a fresh starter. This is kind of the discard or what I had left over. I keep this in the refrigerator. Now, it does take a while to make sourdough starter. So if you're wanting to make sourdough bread, I think you can buy it. You may be able to buy like it in powder form. I'm not really sure. I did make this from scratch. It took me a few weeks to make it, to get it right, because I don't know, I had a hard time with it. But once I got it, I got it. Once it was made. And what I do is I just store it in the refrigerator. Some people leave it on the counter if they're going to make a lot of bread and they feed it daily, their sourdough starter. You don't have to do that. Believe me, you don't. I've been making the best sourdough bread. And I think the more or the longer the sourdough starter is, it ferments and whatever, it makes it even more delicious. Because each loaf that I make is better than the last. They're rising beautifully, they're fluffy. So just don't be concerned if your first few loaves that you make aren't fabulous. I mean, they're still gonna be good, they're still gonna be great, but you'll notice that each time you make it, they'll get better and better. And you'll learn a little, some more tricks to it. I've watched so many videos on it. But anyways, I'm going to get started here. I'm not going to start blabbering. So anyways, this is what I just took out of the fridge. I can leave it in there for months and not use it, and it's still good. I take it out and I kind of let it set out for a little while. I think you can use it straight from the refrigerator. I don't know. I haven't tried it. I kind of like to set it out for an hour before I use it, just because it's been in the fridge for so long. So you're going to need the sourdough starter. You're going to need a clean vessel. It's really good to have a scale. It's good to have a scale. And you're going to use grams. You're going to set it to grams. And you want one where you can, so call it tare it, where you can bring it to zero. Because you want to put your vessel in there. Like I'm using this jar. So I want to set the jar on there. You could do it two ways. You can weigh your jar, write it down, and keep track of, when you add in there, but then you have to use math. I don't like to use math. So I just bring it to zero, and then I will add my ingredients. So you will also need whole wheat flour. I just so happen to use this brand, but you can use any whole wheat flour. And you want bread flour. I like to use the unbleached bread flour. It just works really good for me. Now this does have a high protein content, 12.7 on that, which is good. But like I said, this one has 13.25. So I'm going to use those, and then I'm going to use some water that's just a little warmer than room temperature. She suggests like 90 degrees. It's good to have a, what do you call these things? An instant read thermometer. And my water is at, it's at 100. But that's okay. As long as it's not really hot. You don't want it, I don't think, over 110. But this is fine. 100 degrees is fine. But she says about 90 degrees. So the first thing we do, so we have that. You need a spoon. So I'm going to, I don't think it matters what you add first. She always adds the starter first. So this is, it's going to be 25 grams of starter, 25 grams of whole wheat flour, 25 grams of unbleached flour, and 75 grams of water. If you don't have a scale, you can just Google those amounts and convert them over into cups. And but just make sure that, like, if you want to do the water, like 75 grams of water, make sure you put water, because water is heavier than the flour. So they all weigh differently. Flour weighs differently than, you know, the starter and so forth. Okay, so let's do 25 grams of the starter. And I'm just gonna kind of scoop that in here. I probably should have used a spoon. I could kind of pour it in there, I guess. Oops, that's too much. That is too much. Okay, I got 44 grams. So let's get some of this out of here. I never did it like that before. Okay. It's 29. So, I mean, I should have, oh, that's 28. And if you're over a little bit, it's not a big deal, believe me. I'm at 27. I'm just going to leave it at that. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then I'm going to bring that back to 0. And then I want 25 grams of whole wheat. So let me get I'm just going to get a measuring spoon. Don't need it, but I'm going to get it. Just so we get an idea of how much 25 grams of flour is. So we're going to do, this 1 tablespoon was about 17 grams. So it's going to be almost 2 tablespoons. So that's the regular flour. Oops. Don't want to bring that in. And then the whole wheat flour, bring it back to 0. And then we're going to do $25 grams of that. And there we go, perfect. And now we're going to add the water. And I think, I'm not sure, but I think 75 grams of water is around a 1/4 cup, but let's see, we'll find out. Right now I have a 1/2 cup in here, so let's see how much it's going to take. Just do it slowly. Oh, maybe it's more than that. It's 72, 74. Oops, 76, that's okay. So it was about a 1/4 cup, 1/4 cup of water equals about 75 grams. And then you're just going to stir this up. You're going to stir it. So when this is all good and done, it's going to be, it's going to equal to 100 grams of starter for your recipe. And not all of it. You're going to save some of this. You always save some of it because you want to have starter for your next project. You don't want to ever use all of your starter, because then you'll have to start fresh making new sourdough starter, and you don't want to do that. So you want to make sure all the flour is incorporated in there. Just stir it really, really good. Make sure it's all in there. And it's okay if it's on the sides. So then what you're going to do is you're going to leave this on the counter. You're going to cover it up. I usually don't like it that sloppy, but you could always get a paper towel if you want to, but it's no big deal. You're going to be using this later today. So just get your lid. Don't close it completely. Just kind of set it on there and just do a little, just so it doesn't fall off. But you want to let a little air able to circulate in there. This is alive. Remember, yeast or sourdough yeast is alive. Well, yeast is alive. It's a living thing. So you can put a rubber band around it if you want, so you can see how much of this is going to grow. It should at least double in size. So if I'm going to show you how it looks right now. You don't see any bubbles or anything in there, but this should grow at least up to here. It's going to at least double in size, and it's going to be all nice and bubbly, and you'll see. I'll show you. It does take, I think, about 3 hours, but don't be a slave to the time, because it depends on the temperature of your house. It depends on all kinds of things, how long it's going to take. So I would just keep checking it, like check it after 2 hours and 4 hours. Just keep checking it and see how it looks, because you'll know when it's ready. It'll be all wonderful. I mean, it could even be more than doubled. Let me see what she says. Activate starter. She says 2 to 3 hours. 2 to 3 hours. So you look at it. Now, if it looks just like this after 2 hours, then it's not ready. And don't be concerned. Just let it set longer. Let it set longer and then see what happens. Mine usually after 3 hours is doubled. And like I said, it's just like magic. So, okay, so that's it for now. So I'm going to come back in a few hours and I'll show you what we're going to do next. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure out the flour. I like to put it in a separate bowl. You don't have to. You can do it all together. This is just the way I like to do it. I don't know why. Okay, so I'm going to need 500 grams of flour. So 500 grams, I'm just using regular bread flour. And I do like to add a little bit of einkorn flour, just like maybe a half a cup. That's just my preference. So we're going to do, first we're going to put this in, the bread flour. So far I'm putting about 3 cups, which is 400 grams. And then I'm going to do some einkorn flour. I should have got this out before. Okay, einkorn flour, it's an ancient grain. It's sweet as nature intended. So it's never been hybridized, low gluten index, unbleached and unbrominated. Anyways, it has good flavor. So I'm gonna add just a little bit, like just a half a cup for this. I've made bread with just einkorn flour. It's a little bit different. I'm not really sure if I'm crazy about it. But ooh, I think that weighs more than regular flour. I'm at 479. But anyways, but I think when you mix it with the regular bread flour, it does add a little bit more flavor to it. Okay, so we want 500. Oh, right there, perfect. 500 grams. So that's the flour. I'm gonna add the salt to that. And I'm going to mix it up. Now, if you watch the video, she does it a little bit differently, but this is how I like to do it. Now, you can use any kind of salt you want. I wouldn't use a rock salt, but any kind of, table salt, fine salt, pink Himalayan salt. I just happen to use some kosher salt. It says coarse kosher salt. It's really not coarse at all. And that is, let's see, 9 grams. I don't really like it super salty. Now, all salt weighs differently. So we're going to try about just under a tablespoon and see. Oh, that's too much. I didn't really like it super well. Hopefully that wasn't too much. I actually got 10 grams in. So anyways, we'll see. We'll see. I don't like it too salty. But it's too late now. And I'm just gonna, this is a little dough whisk. I'm just gonna mix it all up in there to make sure the flour and everything, the 2 flours and the salt is well mixed. So anytime you follow a recipe, you don't always have to follow it exactly. You can do, you know, add your little touches to it. That's what I do. And it's just fine. Okay, so now I did warm up some water. And we want 300 grams of water. So again, I'm going to put my regular bowl on there. And I think it's about 1.5 cups. We'll find out. I can never remember, but it's 300 grams. And you want it at about 90 degrees. Oops. So it's not quite 1.5. Okay, so I would say probably about 1.25 cups possibly. Okay, I have like a drop too much, but I can always take it out. Oh. See, water weighs a lot. It's so funny. $300. Then you're going to add your starter, and you want 100 grams of starter. That's almost all of this, but not quite. You're going to leave a little bit in there. So let's let me just start pouring this in there. So 100 grams. And one way to know that your starter is ready is it floats. And hopefully you can see how it's floating around in there. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Nice and airy. So we want 100 grams. It's really fluffy and airy. We're going to use almost all of it, but we got to save some. $100. So I do have a little bit left that I'm going to save. I'm going to add it just to what I had in that other jar and put it back in the refrigerator. And then we just continue to use it over and over again. Okay, I'm going to mix this up. I don't think we need this anymore. Let me make sure I'm still on camera. Okay, so I'm going to mix that up, and then we're going to mix the flour. You can pour it all in there at once, but I like to do it this way. A little bit at a time. You're going to make a nice shaggy dough. just going to add the rest of it in, and I'm going to get another tool. This comes in handy. We're just going to mix it really well and incorporate all of the flour with the water. Get all the flour on the sides. This is a silicone scraper, which works really, really well. And you can really get on the sides of the bowl and kind of turn your dough. Just make sure it's all well incorporated. You can do it with your hands. I don't like to get all my hands in there. But I think on the video she actually uses her hands. I don't mind using the back of my hands. It's easier to get the dough off. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave it pretty much like it is right now. Let's see. It's all well in there. And then I'm going to cover this up. And you can use plastic wrap, or I bought a bag of these shower caps at the Dollar Tree. $1.25, you get 10 of them. You can reuse them. You can wash them, rinse them, and reuse them. They work perfectly. So I'm just going to cover this up. I also use a towel to put over it, and I'm going to let it set for 3 hours. But what I do, like maybe about after an hour, I'm going to come and I'm going to stretch and pull. You don't have to do that step. You can leave it just like this. I think it's 3 hours. Let me just make sure. It might be overnight. Let's see. Oh, okay. So it's actually 12 to 14 hours. So you want to let this set at room temperature 12 to 14 hours. So I'm probably going to, it's 5 o'clock now. I may refrigerate tonight, like at 10 o'clock or so. I may refrigerate it and let it finish proofing in the refrigerator. But after about an hour or so, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to stretch and fold, and I'll show you that. So this is it for now, and I'll be back in about an hour or so, or I might even wait a couple hours after dinner and come and show you what the next step is. And this is totally optional. Okay, it's about 9 o'clock. I'm going to do another stretch and fold. I'm going to do this all the way around this just for a second. I'm going to wet this a little bit. The dough doesn't stick as much to a wet dough. I'm going to wet my fingers, and we're going to do this stretch and pull. You can see it's getting a little bit easier to work with now. Look at how stretchy. So we're going to go one. I'm going to do it all the way around. So what time did I say it was? It's 9 o'clock. Okay. So I don't know. I may do one more before I go to bed. I'm going to do one more time around, just so it's really nice and done. It also helps make it a little bit smoother, because I can still feel some of the flour that didn't get quite incorporated, but all that'll be fixed once this rises. So I'm probably going to come back in an hour. I don't know if I'm going to do it on camera. do another stretch and fold. Okay, I think that's it. I'm going to cover it back up. And I'm trying to think, I may leave it out overnight. I know she said 12 to 14 hours. We'll see. Anyway, so that's probably it for tonight. And I'm going to show you tomorrow what it looks like. Okay, I woke up a little bit late. It's 9 o'clock. This is what it looks like. Oh my gosh. I'm not ready to do anything with this yet. I'm gonna put it in the fridge, and then when I'm ready, I'll show you what I do next. Okay, I'm back. I guess it's 9:15, so I put it in the fridge for like 15 minutes. Okay, let's slowly take off this without deflating it. It really did. I left it longer than the 12 to 14 hours. It's been more like, I think 16 hours. But I know the longer you leave it, the more sour it will get. You just don't want to overproof it. Okay, so let me clean that thing off. I think I have another one somewhere. I'm gonna get some some flour. Excuse me. Okay, let me put some flour down because this is gonna be really sticky. Very sticky. Put a little bit on top. And we're gonna get it out of this bowl the best we can. Oh, okay, I don't know if I should wet my hands or, well, let's see. We'll put a little flour on it. See how that works. Okay, we're gonna gently as we can put this out on the counter. Yeah, it's a very, very sticky dough. Airy and sticky. That's gonna work. I'm gonna put this in water real quick because if this dries, it's very hard to get off. Okay. So, this much dough off of here. So it doesn't go in the sink. Okay. So look at that. Nice. And then we're gonna fold it over on itself a few times. This is another kind of a stretching when you're folding it over. Okay. Fold it as much as we can. And as you fold or you pull and stretch, it's tightening up. It's tightening this little ball of dough. Without deflating it. Ooh, it feels really nice. And then we gotta let this proof again. It's gotta proof for about 3 hours. I know. It's not as quick as the regular no knead. I think because it's sourdough. Okay. Then I'm going to turn it over. Ooh, that's like a little hole there. Trying to get some flour away from this, and then you want to kind of pull or push and pull. And when you're doing this, you're kind of sealing the bottom, and you're giving it a little more stretch. So you kind of pull or push, pull, push, pull, push, pull, and you're making it nice and round. and firm. Oh, I can see little bubbles forming, which is fine. It just tells you that the dough is alive. Okay, so now I'm gonna get one of these Banneton baskets. I already started flouring this, not flouring it, but dusting it with rice flour. So rice flour is a little bit, it's different than, obviously, than, I already did a little bit of this, than the regular flour. This is just what they use, and so I thought, you know, I'm gonna do what the recipe called for. I did have to order this online. I couldn't find it anywhere, so I did have to get it online. Wait a minute, did I get it online? Actually, I got it at Wingo in their bulk section, so I take that back. Okay, so it's nicely dusted so the dough doesn't stick. And then carefully pick this up. You can use your little scraper to pick up the dough, and you want to turn it upside down. This Banneton is really nice. It's going to leave a beautiful design on it, and it's just nice for proofing. So again, I'm going to use this, if this is okay to use. So we're going to cover it, and we're going to let this proof, like I said, for 3 hours. So it's 9:20. It's about 12. I'll check it around 12 o'clock. Maybe sooner, because you never know. I'm going to cover it, and we're going to let this set. So I'll see you back in 3 hours. Okay, while the oven is preheating, I'm going to get everything else ready. I'm going to put a little bit of corn. I'm going to put a little bit of rice flour in this strainer here. I have some parchment paper. I like to crinkle it. It just makes it fit better in the vessel you're putting it in. So we're going to try to carefully put this bread on the parchment paper. Okay, look it over. Oh, a little bit off the edge. Oh, come off. Oh, look at how beautiful that is. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, it's a little bit, yeah, should have been more centered, but that is okay. Look at how gorgeous that is. So I'm going to just sprinkle it with a little bit of, whoops, a little bit too much. A little bit of rice flour. This is just for decorative purposes only. It's going to look pretty when you cut it. I'll show you. Okay, I'm gonna have a little bit. That'll probably burn in the oven. Okay, so let's see if my oven is. Oh, I think it's ready. So I'm going to get the pot, the Dutch oven out. I'll be right back. Now, okay, I had to stop this for a second because my camera is in the way. Okay, I took the Dutch oven out. It's super, super hot. And then I'm going to, where'd it go? Oh, there it is. This is a bread lamb, or lamb, I don't know how you pronounce it. And I'm just going to give it some cuts. This helps the bread in the oven. It expands and puts some little designs in here, which is totally unnecessary, but I like to do it. That makes it really pretty. Okay, I think that's good. I'm going to stick this in this hot oven, put the lid on, and there it goes. And I'll see you back in about 30 minutes. So I think, oh, what does the recipe say? Where's my card? Okay, so reduce the heat to 425, bake for 40 minutes covered. Okay, so I just took it out of the oven. I'm going to check the temperature, and it is saying 206. And I was watching another video, and she said it should be at least 206. So it is perfect. So it did bake uncovered for about 15 minutes. And let's take it off of here carefully. This paper is really fragile. Let's part some paper and set it on. There we go. It's very, sorry about the noise. Okay. Move this out of the way. And look at how gorgeous this is. It is absolutely beautiful. Very hot, very hot. But look at that. So now it has to cool completely for at least 2 to 3 hours before you cut into it. It's still actually cooking, so that way it doesn't get gummy inside. If you cut it too soon, I know it's so tempting to cut nice hot bread out of the oven, but then it tends to get gummy. So we're gonna let this cool off, and we'll be back in a couple of hours. Oh, and I also forgot to mention, when I was looking at some of the footage that I did on this video, and for some reason, when I thought I was recording, I was not recording. So I wasn't able to show you what the starter looked like. And there were some other steps that I forgot. But anyways, hopefully it all makes sense to you. And sorry that some steps were kind of skipped. But anyways, if you have any questions, put it down in the comments down below. And I don't know if you can hear it, but it has like it's like singing, it has like a little crackling. I don't know if you can hear that. Can you hear it? Listen to it. Okay, now let's find out whether or not this came out. It's been a couple hours, so we're gonna cut it open. It didn't actually rise as much as my last 2 loaves. They were a little bit higher. Not sure why. Don't know why. But let's see how it looks inside. Oops. Ooh, it looks nice inside. Look at that. Very nice. And I'm sure it's delicious. Cut off a little piece at the end. It's really nice. Very good. Okay. Thank you for watching. Till next time.